Breaking news!
You can't believe the hype, and no one loves you for these 10,000 lies. I hope to realize one truth.
This week on Servicing the Public, a new designer drug has killed 21 teenagers in the Dallas, Texas area alone. It's called cheese heroin. Now, if you're like me, you're already a purveyor of the world of opiates. But Kobe, how does this drug differ from what you'd find, in Baltimore City, for example?
Right. What makes cheese heroin different is it's called cheese heroin because of its yellow color. People typically snort it. And how you make it is you add heroin to some water.
Oh, you make monkey juice.
Right, some of us know that's called monkey juice.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add crushed Tylenol PM tablets, and then you heat the mixture and make all the water go away. And then you put it in little bags and go to a middle school somewhere in the Dallas, Texas area.
No, you do not do that. You give an unbiased and fair report from your bedroom
right,
about it.
That's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the thing is about this drug is it's very cheap to make. You can sell for as little as $2 a hit and $5 for a quarter gram. I mean, now if you're at a party and you're trying to make a good first impression,
it's worth a shot.
Oh, that's for sure. You can get off for maybe $1 a hit, maybe 75. Okay. Other business aside, a new study in the UK has concluded that babies who are screened for genetic disorders suffer no long-term ill effects such as deformity or abnormality. And this is a long-term study, with the oldest test subject being 17 years of age. And this is very promising for the field of not wanting our future generations to suffer more than they already do. Despite all this, genetic screening remains a rarity in the UK, with only 200 out of 40,000 in vitro fertilization births using it currently.
Right, and what makes this story so interesting is about a week ago we had the story about a study out of London that found links between 24 genes in different diseases. Some of them including breast cancer and obesity. I mean, this along with the evidence that there is no abnormalities from genetic screening, we could really eliminate a lot of our genetic disorders.
Yeah, right from the gene pool. However, that would not be pleasing to a show.
News from somewhere else.
This week on News from Somewhere Else, Russian computers that control the most crucial functions of the International Space Station.
Whoa, that's really news from somewhere else. Out in space.
Damn straight. Went haywire the other day, including the oxygen systems. The station might need to be abandoned. Next thing we're going to see, bodies are going to be floating in the Hudson. Cold War Part 2.
Well, actually they say it's all taken care of. But a Russian source told ABC News that they suspect the U.S. of causing the problem.
Yeah, I mean, and this is really like a prime sort of marketing time for any sort of, another Cold War. I mean, really, the loyalty of people right now, just the planet over, is probably the lowest it's been ever.
Yeah.
You could purchase my loyalty for about $200 cash and some of that cheese heroin.
That's what I did.
Damn straight. Anyway, in other news, in what is called the Battle for Gaza, Hamas has taken control of most of the Gaza Strip.
Right, and various Human Rights Watch... the Human Rights Watch organization has accused both sides of violations of international humanitarian law, which I'm sure they haven't agreed to anyway, amounting to war crimes, including intentional killing of civilians, public executions, fighting in hospitals, that's my favorite, and shooting from vehicles marked TV as if they are the press.
Oh man, that's pretty crazy. I mean, really, go big or go home. I mean, this is a great start right here for both sides. But I mean, if you're not going to crush the Israeli state between your righteous hand of God, just go home and fuck some hot Persian chick, really.
That's going big again, isn't it? Both of those are going big. In other news from somewhere else, sometimes there are so many news stories in a week that we cannot possibly cover it. And this time, Thailand, it's all fucked up. It's just totally fucked.
Foobar.
Denied class struggle and it only grows greater. Denied class struggle and it only grows greater.
The People's Republic is at it again. And this time, I mean Jesus fucking Christ. More than 450 slaves, of whom 109 were under 18, were recently freed from a forced labor brick kiln in rural China. At least 13 of these men had died from overwork and abuse, and the rest were badly burned and maimed. Currently, 120 suspects have been arrested in this case.
120 suspects have been arrested, but people think a lot more people are involved in that, like the local authorities who were possibly bribed to look the other way. And look, you can't keep secrets in China. They know what's going on. Now, the Chinese government claims they had no idea about this, but really, they only responded after 400 mothers came forward and said their children were missing.
I mean, because there's no independent media in China, there's no real possibility for independent criticism. The Chinese newspapers and media outlets are painting this as an isolated incident and are praising the heroic efforts of local police for breaking up this slavery ring. Whereas, what's probably more likely is that this is just, the tip of the iceberg. They're just scratching the surface. This could be going on all over rural China, and if the state is keeping it under wraps, it would be very hard to find out about. I mean, China has received a certain acclaim for having a low homeless population, but all I gotta say is, if I could fucking kidnap homeless people and get them to work in my backyard, Baltimore would have a low homeless population too.
Hell yeah!
Mike Nifong, who most of us know as the face of prosecutorial misconduct in the United States.
Major human train wreck.
Yeah. He was responsible for the Duke Lacrosse rape case in which 3 men were falsely accused by a victim who just completely made up her story.
One of the guys at the bank.
Yeah, one of the guys was at the bank. That's how innocent he was. The opposite of raping somebody. Mike Nifong has been... he was the prosecutor in the case. And he has been disbarred from practicing law after being found guilty of 27 of 32 ethics and conduct violations, most of them coming from the Duke Lacrosse case. He may also face criminal and civil liability, including a possible federal civil rights violation, saying that he violated the civil rights of these accused men. And,
fuck him.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Fuck you, fuck him, and fuck her shit too. Fuck you, fuck him, and fuck her shit too.
On this week's edition of Argumentum
Ad hominem,
we're going to be fucking with the great Reverend Al Sharpton.
Right, Reverend of a Baptist church. And apparently, if you are a Baptist minister, you get to just exploit race relations whenever you see fit.
I mean, fuck it. It's obvious over the past, 10, 15, 20 years, this guy's fucking lost his fucking touch. I mean, just take, for example, like all the controversies he's become embroiled in that are obviously just ways to race bait. I mean, the Tawana Bradley rape case where she was obviously making that shit up. When the shit was hitting the fan, Sharpton and his attorneys accused the prosecutor of being one of the perpetrators himself. I mean, what the fuck? And the Duke Lacrosse case we already mentioned earlier, we're like one of the guys at the fucking bank and, obviously not raping anybody.
Right, but just because they are white and the victim is black, he's going to believe her, even if she's a known liar who's accused people of rape before wrongly.
Which she did. And then there was the whole Don Imus controversy. Now, I don't know who Don Imus is. Probably some fucking chode.
Yeah, that's correct.
But apparently he called, like a basketball team a bunch of nappy-headed hoes. That was controversial for some reason.
Yeah, a nappy-headed hoe. Like, Reverend Al, this is 2007. This isn't 1969 anymore. Like, nappy-headed hoe is a term of endearment. Observe. Hey, nappy-headed hoe.
I love you too, Kobe.
See? Now... And he's just getting so washed up and so reckless, and he's just saying shit that just doesn't even make sense anymore, and it's not helping anybody. Here's a real quote from the great Reverend Al Sharpton. White folks were in caves while we were building empires. We taught philosophy and astrology.
And by that I assume he means astronomy, because astrology is not an accomplishment.
And mathematics before Socrates and
those
Greek homos ever got around to it.
Nice.
Right, homos. But his defense is that he did not say homo in a homophobic way.
Man, what a nigger.
And we don't mean that in a racial way.
If that's even fucking possible.
Beast of the week.
This week's beast is American individualist anarchist Josiah Warren. He is so beastly because he wasn't what we call an armchair revolutionary. He really put his ideas to work. He thought that to give a man anything less than the full value of his labor was immoral. So, are you getting the full value of your labor?